teacher gave you something that is suited for your physical body, for your mental and emotional body. An intelligent practice was designed.
The Yoga Sutra, Samadhi, which is thoughtlessness, is actually the final destination, which is what the final destination for Sushumna Kriya Yoga also. Om Sushumna, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to another conversation with another fellow Sushumna Kriya Yogi over here. Some of you might know my name is Swapnalekha, and I have been a Sushumna Kriya Yogi since the last 3 years now. And you would have also heard our podcast called Sushumna Vani, where we discuss various concepts about what could help us in our day-to-day living, because as Amma says, we begin our day with meditation. We ought to end it with introspection, but those 24 hours that we live between these two are much more important for our sadhana. So today we have with us over here Shruti Keerti. Welcome, Shruti Keerti.
Thank you so
much.
And
she is a health and wellness coach. So who could be better in telling us and advising us on how to deal with various aspects of life than her? So along with being a health and wellness coach, she also specializes in her understanding of yoga. So I would begin first by asking you this question, that we all do Sushumna Kriya Yoga. And we all say it is about becoming one with the supreme consciousness inside. And we have an intellectual understanding about the entire thing. And while we say, we kind of believe that we understand, but we still have not experienced it. Can you help us understand that when we say yoga in terms of living, what does it actually mean in day-to-day living terms?
That's a great question, because the entire understanding of yoga today has been so limited to asana practice, where yoga equals postures. So actually yoga is far beyond than our understanding, and that's why I think the Maharishis or Patanjali Muni has very beautifully captured the essence of the nature of a human mind in aphorisms called the Yoga Sutras. So yoga, in simple terms, can be defined as a union. Union of what? Union of the body, the breath, and the mind. The body is something that is tangible. You can experience the body. Okay. The breath is a subtler aspect, but it's still tangible to you. But what about the mind? You're able to experience it, but it's extremely fleeting. So yoga is actually to calm the mind. It is yoga chitta vritti nirodha.
So if I may just try to make it simpler for myself to understand, you're saying that when the body, the mind and the breath are in sync with one another, that is when we call it yoga.
Yes.
So if I may extend that understanding, if I am doing some asana,
correct,
it means that my movement of my body, my breath and my mind, that means how I am being one with my body,
correct,
that entire process is called,
then you're in yoga.
Then I'm in yoga.
Correct.
So it is not that difficult to be in yoga.
I would rather say it does take practice, because I could be moving my body, I could be conscious of my breath partly, but my mind could be in the kitchen or with my child, or could be left with another residue from the environment that I have just been with. So really, when you harness the movement along with the breath, then slowly the mind begins to still.
Okay, so let me take my understanding one step behind. So when one goes to the gym and one is running on a treadmill while watching a TV screen and an IPL going on, so your body is there.
Correct.
Breath is not there.
Yes.
Mind is totally not there.
Yes.
So that is not there for yoga.
That is an exercise.
That's an exercise.
That's
because
acting only on the body.
On the body.
Correct. But yoga is not heavy duty exercise. It is something that we are working on the subtler aspects of the mind. And because the body and mind work in sync together, it does beautifully for both.
And since you said that it takes a lot of practice, it means that if in case I practice yoga the way you explained it, will my practice of Sushumna Kriya Yoga meditation become better?
So what happens is, how do you feel immediately in the morning after an 8-hour sleep? The body is stagnant. Don't you feel a little bit of heaviness? Why? Because the fluids in the body become stagnant. So movement is important. The safest movement is walking. But what about if a teacher gave you something that is suited for your physical body, for your mental and emotional body? An intelligent practice was designed how to use your breath along with the movements of your arms, along with the movements of the spine. Imagine how beautiful and light it would make your body feel. So when you actually come and settle down for a 49-minute practice, you're not in pain, you're ready. It just happens with ease because you have already allowed the stagnant energies to clear out, the residue to clear out, and all now you have to do is just sit and focus in one point. Otherwise, you're just busy adjusting yourself, you're caught up in the body is pulling you, it's calling you. So that's the beauty of asana. Because Sushumna Kriya anyway takes care of your 14 breaths, then your omkaras, in the order of omkaras and then your. So the breathing, the little bit of pranayam is anyway happening. So asana, pranayam and then dhyan. That's a beautiful
Which
way
is why I
of-
call it such a powerful practice, because it
Absolutely.
combines your omkar, you
Yes.
combines your pranayam in the form of long breaths,
Correct.
and then the dhyan part.
Absolutely.
Because in the Yoga Sutra, samadhi, which is thoughtlessness, is actually the
eighth length.
final destination, which is what the final destination for
Yes.
Sushumna Kriya Yoga also.
Correct.
So, Shruti, I wanted to ask you one thing which can be kind of the bridge which connects between a meditation practice and our daily life. So, the Yoga Sutra says that tapas svadhyay ishwar pranidhanani kriya yoga. That means Kriya Yoga is a combination of tapa, svadhyay and ishwar pranidhan. And tap, all we understand literally means practicing austerities. So, from a health and wellness perspective, I want you to just tell us, what does tapa mean in terms of ahar that we take in? And let's start with the most obvious one, which is food.
Correct. That's a beautiful question. For any yogi, as a matter of fact, I think tapas always begins with the yamas and niyamas, And the first yama or niyama that comes to my mind is consumption. What am I consuming? Food in terms of what I'm eating. Of course, there's food in terms of thought that we will not touch upon right now. But today, in a world of abundance, what do you see when you go out on the road? There's processed food, hyper palatable food, which is literally calling out to you. It's always available 24/7. So what happens to each one of us? It actually confuses the body because our hormones are nothing but chemicals. So the food that is artificially processed, made hyper palatable with oils and salt and sugar, there's an entire industry that supports scientists only to mimic these products because these scientists have studied the human brain and they design these products to target our young children and the vulnerable population. And what happens is it gives them a temporary dopamine high. So most of the people today, we are experiencing a sudden surge in depression. Yes, because people want more. They're seeking something more. But most of them are just settling with that bag of chips or that can of ice cream in front of Netflix. A major. And this happens with my own close circle. At one point probably even happened to me when I was not so aware. What happens is we are trying to settle with that dopamine rush. But once you become aware that this kind of food is making me tamasic. What is tamasic? Making me feel lethargic. Making me feel like I can't experience hunger, but I want to eat more. So I keep reinforcing that cycle. Then I gain weight. Then my hormones are out of place. I sleep during the afternoon or during the day. I can't sleep at night. Then I'm tempted to access my gadgets. So this is the problem of the new generation. If you see, when you go to the doctors or counselors, major hormonal disruptions happening because they are not in sync with the day and night. They have confused their body's intelligence by consuming more than what the body needs. So the secret is mit ahar, and this has been beautifully given in our scriptures how many years ago? It's timeless wisdom. But everybody wants empirical research now. By torturing rats and animals and putting drops of sugar here and there and giving us parts of information and trying to declare it like this diet is great for. But the greatest form of tapas would actually be getting in touch with your own body, understanding how much you need, what you are due for in terms of food, consuming that, and then having a sense of restraint.
Okay. So you said a lot, many things. So I'll just try to recollect and put it together. You spoke about food being tamasic.
Yes.
So this is just for all those of us who are listening. Food can be sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. And those of you who would want to explore this even more, you should go into the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which actually explains what food is sattvic,
Correct.
what food is rajasic and what food is tamasic. Tamasic food will make you lazy, as you said. You'll be more inclined to take a pack of chips and sit in front of a TV. Rajasic food will make you very active, but you will do those actions for some personal gain. So it'll drive you towards dukkha, as it says. So a lot of agitation. But sattvic food will actually help you get in true touch with yourself.
A state of equilibrium.
A state of equilibrium. So that is one. And Shruti will tell us what listening to your body and having sattvic food is all about next. The other bit also you spoke about is dopamine. So dopamine is one of the 4 chemicals which give us happiness. That's what research has found out. And dopamine gives us happiness for a short while. So the dopamine rush comes into the body, you feel happy, but unfortunately it just ebbs. Then you need more. So what happens? Food becomes like a dependence for you. Then you have to depend on something to go in for you to feel happy, which is why you have so many. Happiness is chocolate ice cream. Happiness is having a bar of chocolate. So it is true, believe me, it is true, happiness gives you, but it's not going to last. So the take is on ourselves whether we want it or not. So that is also something, those of you who are watching, you can do your own bit of research. There's enough available on the internet for you to find out how dopamine is getting actually utilized by companies to make us dependent on food and even activities like gambling online. So we need to be careful about this. So now that we've understood sattvic, rajasic and tamasic ahar, we've spoken about dopamine. Now tell us, what does it mean to listen to your own body and then be a mitahari? Because one thing which Amma once told us during Kartik Purnima last year, I think,